This is called the generation gap.
My generation, baby.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Generation Gab. My name is John Lehr, and I'm a Gen X fun dad.
And my name's Chase O'Donnell, and I'm a millennial semi-recent grad. Thank you so much for tuning in today.
Chase, it's so good to be with you, as always, the highlight of my week. And I mean that. And Bob, we've got Bob Spillman, our producer, HR department, head of legal. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. I have been waiting patiently for us to get our interview skills up so that we can handle what we're about to handle. This is a dear, dear friend of mine. We first met at Northwestern, and we've worked together on stage. We've worked. We're going to get into all of it, but he is also a very, very popular broadcaster on the podcast world. I don't know how many people have heard of podcast. I mean, we're a podcast, so there's that. But it's called, one of his is called BrandoCast, which I am a subscriber. His second is called Rock Tales with, I believe, Amit Zappa. And so we're going to bring him on the show. Welcome, Brendan Smith!
Yeah!
Oh,
yes,
Hold on.
I am a Gen X, oath-keeping, proud boy, MAGA type. Let's storm the Capitol, everybody. Come on!
Shit. Oh, God. I didn't realize he was one of those. We may have to know.
That's why you haven't seen me in so long, John. I've been in Michigan training with some of my brothers up there. I want to give a shout out to Storm Patriot 72. And also Wolverine Man 73. I'll be seeing you guys this weekend when I drive from Los Angeles up to the UP.
You missed your deprogramming session with me. I had scheduled to deprogram him off of MAGA and the Q and on, but he didn't show up. But setting that aside, none of that's true, by the way. For those
no.
Because, there are a lot of people out there who are very earnest, I have found. And people who I make jokes all the time where my wife says, John, they think you're serious. I'm like, nobody in their right mind would think that I meant what I just said. And then I find out people actually think that I meant what I just said.
Some people don't understand humor.
It's true. The Pacific Northwest, terrible. Terrible.
I find, John, we could get away with these jokes in Silver Lake, but if we drive down to Huntington Beach, we're not going to get away with the same kind of joke.
They're going to join in, those people down there. Jesus Christ. I went down to Huntington Beach. Nobody wears masks. Trump flag still flying high. It's a goddamn germ cesspool down there. Well, Brendan, I am so happy to have you here. And Chase, by the way, is a millennial. I'm a Gen Xer. What do you call yourself, Brendan?
Oh, I think I'm hardcore Gen X.
Yeah.
I mean, every the way that I dress, the music that I listen to.
How do you define it? Tell us, what is that music? What is the music? How do Gen Xers dress?
Well, I really have this sort of this feeling that the music that you listen to when you're 13, 14, 15, that really sets in the music that you're going to love for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So for me, as a seventh grader in 1980, an eighth grader in 1981, it's AC/DC, Def Leppard, Dio, Ozzy, Rush, Van Halen, Ozzy, all day long.
Really good music.
Yeah, this is us. I mean, Black Sabbath really was the defining music for me.
You guys had cool music because at that time we had NSYNC and Britney Spears, which you can't really still listen to that seriously.
No. And our music stands
up.
up.
You guys can still listen to it and not be made fun of.
Oh my God, early Black Sabbath is incredible.
Hey, early Duran Duran is fucking incredible, and they are celebrating their 40th anniversary right now. So that's Gen X.
Oh my! Who was your first concert?
Kiss.
Holy shit! You're kidding.
No, of course not.
Where?
Kiss at the Civic Arena in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. That would have been the Love Gun tour sometime in 1978.
The love
And then,
to it.
but then for me, my family moved from Pittsburgh to Albuquerque, New Mexico. And right out the gate, I saw Van Halen, Ted Nugent before Ted Nugent went full MAGA.
I saw Ted
that was
Nugent
my third concert.
After he went full. Well, he was in between. I went to the deer hunting Ted Nugent concert. This was when this was probably circa '88 when he was starting. He had already departed and was starting to be the hunter guy. Wow.
Yeah.
And,
But I saw Van Halen in 8th grade, so that's just set a lifetime of love and devotion.
The real Van Halen. The
real Van Halen. Yeah, not Van Hagar, but Van Halen.
Yeah, exactly. And Chase, who was your first concert? Just to give us a sense, who was your first concert?
Girls.
Say that again.
Spice Girls.
Spice Girls. So there we have it. Chase, Spice Girls, Brendan, Kiss. Now, at my first concert.
Can you hear me playing this? Can you hear this?
I was a soldier in the Kiss Army. I was an official member.
Me too. I had my patch.
I want to do this quiz where you guys tell me if you think something's Gen X or millennial. But first, can I hear, just to get the listeners a backstory, how you two know each other and a little bit about you and your podcasts? And I just want everyone to know how amazing you are, Brendan. Yeah.
Can I just start by saying I was a John Lehr fan long before we were friends, because I was 2 years younger than John at Northwestern. And at that time in the mid 80s, John Lehr was the funniest motherfucker at that school. And that school had some heavy hitters. American comedy is just littered with people who weren't funny back then, but John Lehr was the guy. And there was a show at Northwestern, maybe you've talked about it in this podcast, called The Meow Show.
No.
It was an improv show. It was like, for anyone who wanted to do comedy at Northwestern, it was the goal. To get in the Meow Show was almost like getting into Second City or getting into UCB for you other youngsters. Getting the Meow Show was a big deal. And John controlled the Meow Show when he was at school. And watching John, he was a rock star because he was also, back then, John enjoyed adult beverages and other things. And the lore of the Meow Show was when you would go to see it, you didn't know if John was maybe tripping.
Oh yeah,
maybe shrooming.
I did drop LSD during the Meow Show, during some Meow shows. That is true.
So to know that there was an excitement in the crowd because you have this wild Tasmanian comedy devil on the stage, and you just didn't know where it was going to go.
But
so I was a John Lehr fan.
But our friendship really was cemented out here in LA.
Yeah, 100%. Well, you and I actually, didn't we co-host? We co-hosted some sort of lip syncing competition at Northwestern.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
I was pulled in by our mutual friend Rick Qualiatine to
oh my god,
and so I got to
so fun.
I got to experience a little bit of the magic, but when I moved out to Los Angeles in the fall of 1990, and me and my friends, some of which were John Lehr friends back at Northwestern, we had a house in Hollywood. We had a house at Fountain and Fairfax, and our house was the place to be, the place to hang after shows and whatnot. And people from Chicago,
party house of LA.
That was the party house, and people from Chicago would come and live with us. And John Lehr lived with us probably spring 1992 when he and his then comedy partner Chris Hogan came out to Los Angeles to seek fame and fortune. Off of a hot show that they had in Chicago called the Chris Hogan Show. So they lived with us. So I had a rock star living with me in the early 90s.
You were a rock star at this point. It was all rock star. And we were all out of our minds, and everybody was just, it was insane. That was
John,
insane
John used to call everybody, he called it the all-stars of partying.
It really was. I mean, there was no rookies on that team. And it was insane. And so then later, though, a few years later, Brendan and I then moved in together as roommates in a small rat-infested house. And I mean rat-infested. And
1244 North Formosa.
is it still there? I haven't been by there lately.
Yeah, it just that whole neighborhood
Just
is
a couple
super
of
fancy.
a couple of quick moments to give you a sense of what life was like. Every morning, Brendan woke up screaming. Brendan wakes up. I don't know if he still does this, but in the morning he would wake up like this. And that is the exact truth. And then he would put on some heavy metal in his room, which was good. The scream always freaked the shit out of me. But the record was always great. And then he would stomp around and we would both kind of start our days. Oh, and Brendan would twist his ankle a lot playing basketball. And so would often, and this was like, I don't know, in my memory, 50% of the time at home would have to stick his ankle in a bucket full of ice water while he watched ESPN Sports Channel.
Well, I was going to Dr. Brando back then, the doctor that lives in my head. So, when you severely, when you break your ankle playing basketball at Poinsettia Park and you hop home from Santa Monica and Poinsettia to Fountain and Formosa, you smear your ankle with peanut butter.
Why?
And then you stick it. Oh no, it's just the oils from the peanuts will get in there and help the tendon.
Did you really do that? I never saw that part. Did you really?
And then
you really
hey, what I had no health insurance back then.
Yeah, none of us
so
did.
Whatever the doctors in my
these were ramen noodle days. This was we were hurting. We were hurting because I had a little bit of money, but I put it all up my nose, and we were just living day to day. Tell us about your two podcasts.
So there's two things I'm involved with. Thursday nights on SiriusXM Volume Channel 106.
But you can also stream it, can't you?
You can also stream it on the app if you have the SiriusXM app. All the episodes are available. It's called Rocktails, and the show is led by my dear friend Amit Zappa, son of Frank, and our friend Richard Sheltinga. And basically, we drink cocktails and we get to talk to a lot of our heroes. So
heavy hitters.
You guys because of Amit has cachet and he knows a lot of people. We've had Sharon Osbourne, the great guitar player Steve Vai, and Joe Satriani and Kevin Bacon, and a lot of great guests. So that's every Thursday night at 6 p.m. Pacific Coast time. And hopefully we'll get to do that more and more as the months go by. Then also more importantly, the Brando Cast,
which I am a subscriber. I'm a member of the Brando Army.
And I thank you so much, John. What that show is I basically guide each guest through the history of rock and roll. I let my guests pick a band to talk about, but stealing a page from John Lehr, that's just designed to spark conversation about everything else.
Right.
So I find that when I have people come on and they talk about their favorite band, and I read them like little Wikipedia bits of history, that gets us talking about bad dates and early jobs and stuff like that. And I've had Heather Graham, had Frank Black from the Pixies, the great Michael DeBar, so many fun people. I just talked to Dionne Warwick. I only got 20 minutes with her because of representation and stuff like that. But that was a real treat. That was 2 weeks ago. I had her on Zoom, and she could not have been sweeter or more gracious.
Has that one
lovely.
Been posted? I don't think I've seen that one.
That's posted.
Okay,
but
I have not heard that one yet.
Well, but that fighting through social media, the big drag about doing any of these things is getting it out there in the world.
Yeah.
900,000 new podcasts were created in the year of our Lord 2020.
Jesus Christ! Now, Chase, you have the classic Gen Xer here with you. Brendan is, in my mind, everything that Gen X is. Knowing that, do you have a question for him regarding, the culture?
Well, I would like to. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen.
Love it.
Okay, here we go. This is going to be good, Brendan.
So I'm sharing my screen, everyone. We're going to start. Is this a millennial thing or a Gen X thing? And I would like Brendan, as the expert Gen Xer, to tell me if he thinks this is his generation or mine, and John and Bob obviously chime in.
I am going to predict that Brendan is going to get every single one of these right for two reasons. One, he knows all of this shit, way too much, of this stuff. but 2, BuzzFeed sucks. And this is a BuzzFeed article, and they always get it wrong, and they're just so lazy.
I think this is an opinion-based thing.
Okay,
too.
well, this is Keely Flattery from the BuzzFeed staff wrote this, and I just want everyone to know that. Keely is her first name. So even before we start, Brendan, Gen Xer or millennial?
I have concert shirts older than Keely.
Yeah, exactly. Which she would love. She would love to have them.
Okay, first thing, gel pens. Is that a millennial or Gen X fad?
I'm going to say I've never heard of a gel pen, so I'm going to say millennial. That's an odd one. I
know millennial.
Don't know.
I know millennial.
What's a gel pen?
They're great. They're very colorful.
Gel pen was a millennial.
It's millennial. You got it right, Brendan. You got it.
What does it do?
They're great. Well, Chase, you explain it since you're the millennial.
Well, the pen just like kind of has. It's just like they're fun neonish colors, and they're jelly. You have one?
They're all over my house because my daughter loves them. But I don't know. It's not ink. It's more viscous. And it's sparkly and neon-y. So it's writing.
It's like your Rocktails sign behind you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Your Rocktail sign could have been written with a gel pen. Very good.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Seinfeld.
Here we
is that
go.
millennial or Gen X?
That is so annoyingly Gen X.
Yeah. It's not Gen X. It doesn't deserve to be Gen X. I mean, it's a great show. Don't get me wrong. But Gen X is about lost souls. It's about the dark night of the soul. It's about having no purpose. It's about sitting on a couch pulling bongs. And none of those characters would sit on their couch pulling bongs all day.
Gen X was the like you guys were in that age when you were watching those shows.
I remember everybody watching it, and I was not into it. I did not watch it.
Were you a Friends person?
Was I a Friends person? Well, I had, let me just say this. I had an ex who was involved in that show as well. Mm-hmm. And I hated that show because it drove her a little batty.
Yeah.
So I had a completely different take on Friends. Plus, we knew David Schwimmer from Northwestern.
Yep.
Jennifer Aniston had been to our house in Hollywood before she was famous when she did Leprechaun 2.
And was dating Tate Donovan, who was a friend of mine.
Donovan.
All right, here we go.
Okay, chokers.
So this is for those of you just listening, this is the actual necklace, the jewelry, a choker. I could see Brendan wearing a puka shell. Did you ever wear a puka shell choker?
If Iron Maiden sold a choker on their website, I would have to go and buy it. So, but I will say this about chokers. I kind of think they span the generations because I can remember a girlfriend or two having a choker back in the day, late 90s, early 2000s. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to give this one to the millennials.
I'm going to go opposite. I'm going Gen X.
Okay,
let's see what the survey says.
Mm-hmm. Oh, millennial.
Okay, so I do know chokers were really big when we were in like middle school, but I also know that chokers were being worn by like the celebrities in their 20s, which would have been Gen X. So
well, Gen X chokers were called dog collar. They were like the punk rockers all wore spiked leather choker dog collars. So maybe that's where we got screwed up.
Yeah. Okay. Harry Potter. Is that millennial or Gen X?
Millennial.
That's millennial.
Yeah,
that is millennial.
Keely got lazy. Here, this is what always happens on these BuzzFeed. Like the first 3 are good, and then the last one they just crap them out while she's doing her show. What's that new? What's the new social media thing that they're all on? It's all audio. What's that thing called now that everybody's doing?
Not TikTok.
Not TikTok. No, it's called
Clubhouse.
Clubhouse. Yeah.
Oh.
Keely was doing her Clubhouse show as she was writing this thing for BuzzFeed for $10. And now this is where she gets lazy.
Clueless.
Millennial. See what I mean?
Well, but also, there were some Gen X people involved in the creation of Clueless.
True. And Paul Rudd, who I went to high school with.
Are you telling me Sarah Silverstein or whatever her name
Alicia
Silverstein? She's a millennial?
Well,
No, she is what is like Gen X, what is like the very tail end of Gen X? Because I played basketball with her ex-husband.
Elder millennial is one term that's used often. So
Okay.
she could be an elder millennial.
She's on the cusp.
Yeah,
I think
she's on the cusp.
She's on the cusp.
Okay, and that's why
It's a 50-50.
right on the cusp. Okay.
So it went 50-50. Wow. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Clueless fans. Who's that dude?
MySpace.
Oh, MySpace. That's millennial. Did you have a MySpace account, Brendan?
I did not because I wasn't in a band.
Well, I had one because I was on when 10 items or less. They had me on MySpace.
All right.
Everyone had a MySpace when I was a freshman in high
So
school.
it spans. MySpace spans it.
Are you afraid of the dark?
I don't know this, so it's got to be millennial, right?
Yeah, I don't know this either. I don't know the reference.
It's like a Nickelodeon show. Oh, but it's half and
50,
half.
50. What the fuck? See, Keely, this is all bullshit. She threw this. She's now on her Adderall. She's doing whatever. BuzzFeed is so half-baked. Everything about it.
Yeah,
They do.
understood.
These are all very... Okay, Razor phones.
Oh,
Did
I had that phone. I had that phone when No, I didn't have it when I was living with Brendan. My first phone was when I moved in with my now wife. I had the Nokia.
This would have been 06.
06, yeah. Brendan, did you have that?
No, I did not have a Razor phone, but I didn't get a cell phone till late.
Right.
Very
yeah.
late.
Brendan was slow on the uptick. I remember that.
Yeah.
I had the Nokia stick of butter phone. Remember the thing that looked like a stick of butter? That thing that everybody had? Blockbuster. What do you say?
Blockbuster is Gen X.
Gen X.
Blockbuster is Gen X.
And
I'm gonna say millennial.
Well, now it is millennial because of the Gen Z. Yes, it is.
I think I really feel like Blockbuster could have switched and been the Netflix, but they just didn't keep up with it.
Didn't do it. They tried, but it was too late.
The Muppets.
You know, look, the original Muppet Show. I was in 4th grade, 5th grade.
Sounds right.
Everybody watched it. And we had already learned to count and spell from Sesame Street.
Yeah.
So I think that
regardless,
Gen X.
Yes.
Yes.
Regardless of what this stupid ass poll said. Okay, it does say Gen X.
I don't follow the Muppets.
Millennials are not allowed to claim the Muppets.
We don't. I don't think we do.
No.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
I know the Muppets. I never watched it.
10 cream pies.
1 cookie,
Friends.
2 cookies.
A bun.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer,
A 2.
Gen X.
A 3. All right. Oh, what is it?
Buffy.
Oh, Buffy. Our friend Carlos Jacob was on Buffy.
I didn't watch it because Buffy came on during my heavy go out and go to shows and go drink phase.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe the millennials discovered it when they were kids, but this could be another 50-50 split.
Right. He's going 50-50.
I think
Let's see.
Gen X. Let's see.
Oh, 50-50!
You're right.
Yeah,
Wow.
Chase, how old were you? Were you aware of Buffy when it was on air?
I think I was probably in elementary school, so
Okay.
so I wasn't. I've always known what it is. I've never really watched it.
Okay.
Well, how would you, as a guy who has his finger on the pulse of our culture, how would you describe the differences between a millennial and a Gen Xer? How would you describe a millennial?
I'm gonna go ahead and unshare this.
I will say this. The big cultural differences, and I think about this a lot. The invention of the cell phone and the understanding of computers there are huge cultural differences. John and I grew up in a time, not to be this guy, I'm going to Brendan-splain this cultural difference to everybody.
Spread your legs. You've got bat wings. Spread your legs when you do this. Do a man spread.
Right. There's mansplaining and then there's Brendan-splaining. But with the invention, like we grew up in a time where we would make plans. Hey, let's go to a movie on Saturday nights at 8:00, which means I will see you at 8:00 on Saturday nights at the Louisiana 3 theaters in Albuquerque or at the original, the Dome, the Cinerama Dome in Hollywood before the ArcLight.
And you do not flake. You do
no,
not
you don't flake.
We've
you
written
don't
it
flake.
in our little calendars or what have you.
So there's no changing plans on the fly.
No.
With the young kids who grew up with the phones, they learned that you can change plans on the fly via text. And it was a jarring experience. And I think Gen X is still going through it, that you could look forward to going to one specific restaurant all week long. Yeah. And 18 minutes before the reservation, can't make it. Two or three people. Yeah, or oh no, let's go somewhere else.
Yeah, and I'm here already. I'm there already, so come meet me there. And then they drop a pin, and then you got to fucking get in your car because you got there early as a Gen Xer.
I say something too. What I thought you were gonna say when you said like we made a plan for Saturday and we didn't see them till Saturday. I can make a plan with someone, but I see them every single minute on social media leading up to it also.
Yeah, no, that's an amazing. That's an amazing point.
And then you have nothing to talk about because you've been talking the whole day, getting ready for it.
Or if you don't know what's going on in their life, it's almost like I feel like a terrible friend. Like, oh my god, I haven't seen your Instagram post.
That's
like,
interesting.
I'm a terrible person. So sometimes I have to do my research.
Oh my god.
I have to quickly scroll through their Instagram and be like, okay, let me make sure I know what's going
their
on.
Mom
in their
just
life
died or what? Yeah, you got to Google them.
Amazing.
So they just did this. They got a work promotion. They like post about it, and I need to know about it so I don't seem like I haven't been following along.
That's an amazing point, and there's another thing about that, which is we grew up in a time when we did not have to worry about our personal brand, and two. Did not wake up every day with the pressure to create something viral, with the pressure to create an Instagram photo, with the pressure to create a tweet. I have that now because those are the rules of the game now. If you want to like compete on Twitter and get your stuff out and get followers or whatever, you have to like create something good. We did not have that at all. So there was no extra status. There was no extra status because you happen to have 12,000 Instagram followers and I have none.
It seems so freeing. So you're telling me your 20s weren't spent like, oh my God, so-and-so has this job and I'm not there yet. And oh my God, I have to do this and I have to tweet this.
Yeah.
Well, yes, because I remember both John and I came to Hollywood to conquer Hollywood. And you would still feel the jealousy when someone would ascend, when someone would sell a script, someone would get on a sitcom, someone would book a commercial, like all that was the same. However, that wasn't shoved in your face all day long.
Yeah. It was
and friends who were
hear it. Yeah.
Right. Randomly you'd hear it and that was fine. And if they were on a good show, maybe you'd see them on TV, but it wasn't just shoved in your face. Now here in LA, actors and writers are constantly I'm writing right now. Well, good for you. Like I'm on my way to an audition. Well,
on set. Yeah.
Yeah. Who the fuck cares? But we still had.
Unless if this was like the early 90s, 80s, I would have to call them up and say, how are you doing? What have you been up to find out they were doing so well in their life.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the diss of millennials is that they are kind of lazy or they only do what they want to do if they feel like they're going to get a reward. That's kind of, but in my mind, they actually do so much more in a day than we ever did because they can, because of the technology, that their days are so much more. Like, I mean, let's just talk.
Well, it's brand management.
Yeah.
They live in a world where the brand management and the upkeep of the public image is a huge part of the day. Now, think about this. To Brendan's explain Gen X versus millennials. We also grew up in a time when there was a real hierarchy to life and a real understanding that you basically had to work your way up the ladder, no matter what field you were in. That you had to start at an entry-level position and you had to work, hopefully get lucky, prove that you were good, get pulled along. But the older people were there in a privileged position and making more money because they had earned that. And that goes back generations, that idea. Millennials are the first generation to go, no, 20s, okay, hi world, And that's where Gen X people looked at millennials like, are you out of your fucking mind?
Yeah.
Like, like here, I'm working in this office space with this person who is actually not the same game that I am. I think that maybe we had some jealousy about that, because for the millennials that popped without having to work in the old structure, I think there was some real Gen X jealousy about that.
Yes, but those of us who failed in our lives, it gives us an excuse not to. Like, the true Gen Xer is a slacker. The true Gen Xer is somebody who doesn't want to do all that. We feel the pressure of it, but we're like, fuck that shit. Let's just get high and listen to whatever. Listen to some Black Sabbath. So in a sense, it gives us an excuse.
Yeah, we are the sons of no one, bastards of young.
Yes. Chase doesn't know that reference.
No, I don't, but it really tied it all together in a perfect little bow, because we are reaching the end of the show.
Yes, the end of the show. I just wanted to bring up one more thing, and I know this is going to make it last a little longer, but I just wanted Brendan to talk a little bit about Thomas Guides. Brendan?
Wow. Have you guys talked about the Thomas Guides on this show?
Briefly.
Okay. I will also say that one of my greatest skills in life, because I have a slightly autistic map brain, I know how to get around Los Angeles without the Thomas Guide.
Brendan
and people would call me
back before Waze.
I was 100%, and I prided myself on that. But for everybody else, they had a big, thick, giant 500-page book in their car.
Everybody. That
was not linear in the way that it was laid out. It divided Los Angeles up into a ridiculous grid. So if you wanted to know how to get from Glendale to South Pasadena, you would have to look at the Glendale page, and then flip 200 pages later to the part to Eagle Rock, and then flip back 200 pages to get to South Pasadena. And it was all connected by numbers. It was really ridiculous, but it was a map. It was a nightmare. And you would see people driving, or everyone had a Thomas Guide in their car. And when you see some schmo, like now you see people texting, then you see someone with a Thomas Guide in their hand, driving up in the Hollywood Hills, smashing into cars on the side.
Unless you knew Brendan. And then you would call him and say, hey, I'm going from Glendale to Pasadena. And he'd go, what time of day? 3 p.m. Okay, here's what you do. There's this alley behind the Ralphs on Hollywood. Take a left, go down that. It turns into gravel for a second, but you keep going past the dumpster. Then you catch Franklin. And go.
I will admit this. There was a time in my life when things got a little desperate, and I did a little rideshare driving for a few months.
Oh,
and I would always blow someone's mind when I took them on the secret road behind Hollywood and Highland. That cuts you off of Franklin down to Hollywood Boulevard without having to fight through traffic.
You go through a parking garage.
Yes, you do.
Yes, you do. Get your ticket, quickly go into Chipotle, get it validated, get back in your car, drive through, and it's still faster than taking the actual street.
Wow. Oh, I'm so glad you brought this up.
Oh, Brendan, you're a very special person in my life, and I love you. And
I love you too.
I know we don't see each other because of the pandemic, but also because we're older, and I don't know why. Well, we got to have you back. I knew we would, but you're an amazing person, and thank you so much.
For the laughs. That was so much fun. And
well, we'll do the cross podcast pollination, and I'll have everybody on the BrandoCast. So we'll do that.
All right. Bye, everybody. It's been a great show. Bye. Thanks for Facebook. Thanks to everybody. Bye. Keep on rocking.
My generation, baby.